Hello, this is OTG welcoming you back to the Harmony Within series, a series dedicated to off-the-grid conversations about spiritual wellness, recovery, and the deeper truths you don't often hear spoken about anywhere else. So, in our last session, step 5, we laid it all out on the table. We took the risk of being fully known. We spoke the exact nature of our wrongs, and in doing so, we opened the door for real change. And that was a hard threshold to cross for me. I didn't like, putting my deep darkies out there. It was embarrassing in front of another person, but it made it very easy to pray to God for forgiveness and to take away the drives that made me do some of those things. It was very rewarding in a sense when I got to cross out all of the things I did merely because I was drunk and that I would not have done, otherwise. That felt somewhat liberating. The fact it's a disease and that I didn't know I had relieved a lot of guilt and a lot of shame over things that I was beating myself over when I was like, why would I do that? Why would I do that? When the answer is that I was drunk and wasn't home. There was something else at the wheel, the disease, And so it's a wonderful feeling, that pink cloud that you get from it. But in step 6, we're not just standing at the doorway, we're deciding whether we're willing to walk all the way through. Our pink cloud has an expiration date. And that expiration date's the next time you remember that you have pain. Because the truth is that step 6 is the forgotten step. Not because it's unimportant, but more because it's quiet. It doesn't have the drama of a confession. It doesn't have the satisfaction of amends. It's an inner work of becoming entirely ready to have God remove the defects that we've carried for years. They're familiar. In some ways, they become a part of our identity. And this is about letting go absolutely and meaning it. Entirely ready is italicized, and one of the things that my sponsor told me is that in the big book, in the literature, in anything, if it's italicized, it's effing important. And in this case, it's probably the most important 2 words. Entirely ready means that you are acknowledging the fact that you are mature enough now to leave your life after you've cleaned your streets, after you've identified all the trash in your past that's led you up to a present that you are now being washed clean of in step 5. Don't dirty it further. Entirely ready means you're committing to something. And to have God remove the defects, you have to commit. Many people think they've done that, but we still clutch onto their grudges. I still clutch on my self-righteousness sometimes. There's a need to win old battles. There's that clipboard, the scripts you've written a long time ago, and there's the ledgers that we have, that we feel. But self-pity is what leads us to entitlement. And I am no stranger to that. As a matter of fact, it's led me back out to a relapse on a couple occasions because I forgot step 6. I was not willing to refuse to injure myself on other people's sharp edges. It's a form of, masochism in a sense, because anger is a punishment that we give ourselves for the way someone else treated us. That was said to me by my sponsor. And forgiveness is saying, I give up my right to hurt you. I give it up. I surrender it. I let go. And that's how I connected to surrender. It was very difficult in the first exercises to try to stay consciously aware of my activation, my ego's activation. Some people are dark clouds. They may not be alcoholics, they may just be miserable people, and they exist. And when I'm trying so hard to be pessimistic and somebody is so meaningless to my life comes along and just slings attitude, I can sit there and make it a big deal. I can blow that up to where it fills the whole screen of my day and wonder why and wonder why and wonder why and start questioning myself and my self-esteem about it. But that's overthinking. That's way overthinking. That pulls me out of my size. All of a sudden I become the most important thing in the world. How dare this person do that? The program teaches me to be another bozo on the bus, to lose myself in the anonymity. Anonymity. Hard word to say. But you don't want to do that because you're so used to being a victim, so used to not sticking up for yourself that when you have an opportunity, you want to rise to that occasion. Step 6 is saying, I'm not that person anymore. I don't get my sense of value from other people. It comes from my actions. It comes from a higher plane of consciousness. We're actualizing the fact that we're not our body. We're saying my emotions don't run me. That's called emotional regulation, and that comes with being completely and entirely ready to have God remove the defects that we've carried. So, being ready is so essential. It is so meaningful, and it is so beautiful to take that fresh life and use it. It asks us to give it all to God, not just the bottle, the grudges, not just the addiction, but the reactions, the negative emotions, the urges we need to control, the hunger to be right. Everything we do that we don't want to hold within our skin, we put it into His hands, and then we turn it over. Our hands are free to receive the blessings. The step book says that step 6 is about willingness, the willingness to bridge between knowing your defects and watching them be removed. And from a psychological perspective, it's emotional regulation at its deepest level, choosing moment by moment to transcend a situation rather than be ruled by it is a very spiritual act. And from a spiritual perspective, it's intelligence of the soul. It's knowing when the ego is speaking and choosing instead to listen to the voice of your higher power, your higher self. And what else do we really have to give God that didn't already come from Him? Our willingness, our readiness, my pain, my suffering, the things that make me unique to what I need from God, the things that He'll remember me by, if you will. That's the one offering that's truly mine to give and the most intimate and vulnerable thing that I can. That's a close relationship. And when I give it, something changes. Something changes in me. I want to keep that feeling. Step 6 gives you the ability to stop being a hostage to your own reactions. It replaces instinctive retaliation with a spiritual choice. It clears the field for step 7, where humility and divine help step in to finish what we started. This is where we stop dragging the disease behind us and finally fully let go. So I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, pound that like and subscribe button. In our next session, we'll be going over step 7. Until then, take care and be well.